This is for you. Don't look away, don't ignore it. It's now. Someone has held on to these words for so long, with fear, with doubts. But today, you need to know. Every moment, every look, every detail, you made something wake up inside someone. It may be hard to believe, but what will be said here is real. So please listen, because after this, nothing will be the same as before. Have you ever stopped to think about the strength your little actions have? In the moments when you smiled, without even imagining who was watching you. On the days when everything around you seemed so ordinary, but for someone, you were the most extraordinary point in the entire scene. Someone was caught off guard by this, you know. It wasn't supposed to be this way. It wasn't in the plans. But somehow everything you did started accumulating as a secret inside the heart of someone who never had the courage to say a single word. Until now. If you could see what exists deep in the eyes of someone who never managed to meet yours for very long, what would you see? A mix of fear and desire, of insecurity and courage fighting to exist at the same time. Someone who never wanted to bother you or be a burden in your life, but who also could never avoid this feeling. Because of all the people in the world, it was you, just you. And don't think this was easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to fight against one's own heart every day, to pretend that everything is fine when the only thing wanted is to be closer, to pretend it doesn't hurt to see you so distant, so out of reach, so unattainable. Every word someone rehearses and then swallows back every time the chance to say something appears and slips through the fingers. All of this creates a burden that only those who feel it know how much it hurts. But what to do when the fear of losing what already exists is greater than the desire to risk something more? Because yes, there is fear. Fear that, by saying these words, something will break. That everything comfortable and safe between you will end. But there is something even greater than the fear now. The need to be honest. To take this truth out of your chest, even if it means putting everything at risk. The question is, can you understand what it means to be truly seen? Not just noticed, but beheld by someone. To be admired for the details that you might not even notice in yourself. Like the way you laugh, so unpretentious but so full of light. Or the way you get lost in thought, with an expression that only someone very attentive would perceive. Someone noticed all of that, every detail. And these details, these pieces of who you are, have become indispensable in someone's life. And do you know what's harder? Accepting that the heart can be so right and so wrong at the same time. Right for knowing what it feels, but wrong for doubting itself. Do you feel the same? Is there even a chance? Will these words be received with the same weight with which they are spoken? Or will they get lost in the void, like a letter without a destination? There are so many unanswered questions, but one thing someone is certain of, it can no longer continue like this. It is no longer possible to pretend everything is okay, while the will to be truthful only grows. It can no longer be hidden, because hiding is a form of lying, and lying, even to oneself, is no longer an option. That's why someone decided to take a risk, decided to put aside fear, ignore doubts, and take that step, a step that might change everything. Or maybe it won't change anything. But what matters is that today you will know. You will know that there is someone who can't get you out of their head, someone who thinks of you at the most random moments, who finds themselves smiling just from remembering something you said, who misses you even when you're around because it never seems to be enough. It's hard to put this into words. It's hard to translate into sentences something so intense, but someone hopes you understand, that somehow these words reach your heart and make sense, that you realize this is not just a confession, but a surrender. A piece of someone is being placed in your hands right now, a fragile, vulnerable piece, but incredibly true. What are you going to do with it? That's the question that remains in the air. There are no expectations, no demands. It's not about asking for something in return or pressuring you. No, this is just about being sincere, about stopping hiding, about giving you the chance to know what's happening on the other side of this silence. So if you got this far, know this. Someone chose you. Not by chance, not for lack of options, but because you are unique, because there is something in you that no one else has, and that something is so special that it can no longer be ignored. Someone hopes you understand, that you feel somehow the weight and importance of these words, that you know they come from a place of love, respect, deep admiration, and that regardless of what you do with them, they are sincere, they are real. Now it's up to you. No one is expecting you to know immediately how to respond to this. They are not asking you to have the right words, because the truth is, sometimes there are no words that can match the impact of something so unexpected. This is not a demand, it's not a burden for you to carry. On the contrary, this is about freeing what has been trapped for too long. Someone just wants you to know what has always been true, even if it has never been said out loud. If it seems that these words carry a force that is difficult to handle, it's because they do. Each sentence here is like a piece of someone that has been carefully guarded, hidden, out of fear, that it was not the right time. The fear never completely goes away, but now it has been overcome by the necessity of being real. Because silence, no matter how safe it seems, also hurts, and someone no longer wants to live with this lonely pain. Maybe you think this is an exaggeration, that these words are too laden with emotion. Maybe you even wonder, why me? What did I do to deserve all this? Tarsi, and honestly, the answer is simple. You didn't do anything that could be explained logically. There wasn't an exact moment, a specific reason. It was simply you being you. You with all your imperfections, your flaws that, to someone, don't even seem like flaws. You with all the things you don't even know are special, but they are. Someone needs to ask you, do you have any idea how much you can change a day with the simplest of gestures? A smile, a touch, a word of encouragement. Even if you think it doesn't mean anything, to someone it meant everything. And it was these small moments, one after the other, that built this feeling. It wasn't something sudden, it wasn't something that exploded all at once. It was something that grew slowly, quietly, until it occupied every space in the heart of someone who now can no longer avoid it. And maybe you don't even realize how much someone watches you when you're not looking. How every expression of yours, every laugh, every little habit of yours becomes something etched in the memory of someone who's there, admiring from afar. Someone observes you like watching a moving painting, a masterpiece that never ceases to amaze. Not because of some idealized perfection, but because it's precisely your authenticity that makes everything so beautiful. You know, for a long time, someone thought these feelings had no place, that it was better to hide, bury, pretend they didn't exist. Because how do you react when you like someone and don't even know if you have permission to feel that? There are no manuals, no guarantees. There's only this risk that haunts you and at the same time invites you to take the next step. Someone reached the point of no longer being able to retreat. Have you ever stopped to think about what it's like to live with something that feels like it's about to explode at any moment? About what it's like to share the same space, breathe the same air, and yet feel such a great distance because those words were never spoken. That's what someone felt for so long, a mixture of closeness and distance, of intimacy and separation, a paradox that only those trapped between wanting and fearing to act can understand. And now you're reading this, and all that someone wants most is for you to understand. There's no other way to say it besides the rawest and truest way. Someone loves you. It's that simple. It's not about superficial admiration, it's not about a fleeting enchantment. It's love. It's profound, it's complex, it's intense, and it's real. This does not mean that it is perfect because no love is. It also does not mean that someone expects you to reciprocate in exactly the same way. The truth is that love, true love, does not require reciprocity to exist. It simply is. Someone decided to love you for who you are without expecting anything in return. But still, someone needs you to know. Because not saying it is like stifling a part of oneself. And what someone wants most now is to be honest with you, not to pressure you, not to create expectations. But because lying about something so significant would be unfair, not only to oneself but also to you. Maybe you need time to process all of this, and that's okay. Maybe you stay silent not knowing what to say. And that's okay too, because this is not about forcing anything. It's not about manipulation. This is just about letting the truth exist in the space between you. It's about giving you the chance to know and decide what to do with that knowledge, without any kind of imposition. If you could see the world through the eyes of someone who loves you, you would notice so many things you might have never realized before. you would understand how your presence can brighten even the darkest days, how your voice can be the most comforting sound someone has ever heard, and how every part of you, even the ones you don't like, are loved exactly as they are. Love is not about perfection. Someone knows this better than anyone. That is why these words are so hard to say, because love, when it's real, doesn't come with guarantees. It is risky, it is vulnerable, it is uncertain, but it is precisely this uncertainty that makes it so powerful. And now all of this is in your hands. Someone is opening their heart, exposing themselves in a way they never thought they could. And as scary as that is, it is also liberating. Because finally, these words are no longer trapped in silence. So, what comes after this? No one knows. Maybe you need time, maybe you have something to say, maybe you don't. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is that you know. Because the truth, no matter how difficult, will always be better than silence. And the truth is this: someone chose you, not out of necessity, not out of loneliness, but because the heart pointed to you and there was no way to resist. Someone sees you as a part of the world worth fighting to be close to. Someone sees you as more than special. And no matter what happens, you will always be that to this person. Now breathe. Let these words echo, because no matter how you respond, no matter what comes next, someone needed you to know this. And now you know. Maybe now, after reading all this, you feel a knot in your chest. Maybe you don't know how to react, and that is completely understandable. Words like these don't come up every day, and feelings of this kind are not revealed so crudely and directly very often. But here it is, the truth, without filters, without detours, without masks. Now you know. You know that someone sees you in a way that perhaps no one else does, that someone values every detail of you, from the grandest moments to the subtleties that go unnoticed by the rest of the world. You know that someone, silently, chose you. And they didn't choose you just for the easy moments, but for everything you are, your imperfections, your uncertainties, your highs and lows. Because for someone, all these form the unique person you are. This truth was said to free the one who carried it for so long, but also to offer you something rare: transparency, honesty. Someone decided to give you the purest gift that exists, a love that expects nothing in return, but could no longer remain in silence. What will you do with this? This is the question that lingers. You can ignore it, reflect on it, choose to act or choose not to act. The decision is entirely yours, and someone is ready to respect that, no matter which path you decide to take. Because love, when it is real, does not bind, force, or demand. It simply is. And now, all someone wishes is that these words stay with you, that they find a place in your heart, even if it's small, even if it's just to remind you that you are special. That, even on days when you don't feel it, know that someone sees a shine in you that maybe you haven't discovered yet. Therefore, here is a request. Reflect on these words. Think about what they mean to you. Think about the impact you have on the lives of those around you, even without realizing it. And above all, remember that such sincere feelings are rare. They deserve to be recognized, even if your response is silence. Now, before we conclude, I want to invite you, if you have ever experienced something similar, if you have ever been that someone who carried such a great feeling and didn't know how to express it, or if you have been on the other side receiving such an unexpected confession, share it in the comments. I want to know, how was it for you? What did you feel? Because these stories, these truths are what truly connect us, and if these words touched you in some way, if they made sense or awakened some emotion, leave your like. This helps spread messages like this to more people who might need to hear something like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because there is much more to be said, much more to be shared, and you won't want to miss it. Now it's up to you. What will you do with this truth? Whatever it is, someone is rooting for you to be happy, the way you deserve. Thank you for getting this far. Comment below on how you felt reading this message. Have you ever experienced something like this? Have you ever carried a feeling so strong that you had to confess it? Or have you been surprised by someone who opened their heart to you? Leave your comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting content like this. Your participation makes all the difference.